This lesson is on Friday, April 16th, and it is the third variation of the minor scale. We've already talked about natural minor. It has the key signature that goes along with its relative major on the circle of fifths. For instance, E minor has one sharp, the same as G major. We know that the characteristic sounds of the minor scale are the third and the sixth and the seventh scaled tones. The third one is May, sixth and seventh are Lay and Te, and that's what we have in natural minor. That was not good enough because people objected to the seventh scale degree being a whole step from Do. What was the name of that seventh scale degree? It wasn't called the leading tone because it wasn't a half step from Do. It was a whole step below Do, and we learned that it's called the subtonic. People didn't like the sound of the subtonic because it didn't lead to Do as smoothly as the leading tone. The solution is don't use it. Instead, raise that scale step up a half step, and we have now a nice T to Do. And we call that scale harmonic minor. That's on page 194. There's a tiny little problem with harmonic minor because now from the sixth scale degree to the seventh, we have Lay to T, and the distance is 1.5 steps. That's a little awkward. And when you're doing a melodic scale, you really don't want that step and a half or augmented second in your melody. It makes it sound kind of Eastern, and sometimes it's hard to do. So the solution again is raise another note. Raise the sixth scale degree from Lay up to La. And now we have a scale that's different than natural minor and harmonic minor because it has two notes that are raised on the way up. The name of the scale is melodic minor. Melodic minor is the most complicated of all the scales. You can look on page number 196 and 197. Melodic minor has two notes raised on their way up to Do. Sixth and seventh are raised on the way up because they lead to Do, and they're La, Ti. When you descend the scale, there's no need to raise them because they're not on their way to Do. So you return them to the natural minor form with Te and Lay. Look in your book on page 197. They have the A melodic minor scale written out for you to see how this goes. On bottom of 198, there are four versions of the first Noel. First in C major, then in C natural minor, C harmonic minor, and C melodic minor. If you play them or sing them, they all have their own distinctive sound because of the scale that's used. And now here is the summary page for all the minors. Natural minor goes according to the minor key signature, has this interval pattern, whole, half, whole, half, whole. Its distinctive notes are May, Lay, and Te. Harmonic minor has the seventh scale degree raised because we want a leading tone. So the seventh note is T, and it goes up to Do by a half step, leaving us with the awkward interval Lay to T, which is a step and a half. Melodic minor solves that by going up the scale with La and Ti, and on the way down there's no need, so on the way down we go to Te and Lay, just like natural minor. Do you notice how I did the word? I go up, melodic, it's kind of on its own. Going down, it's just the same as natural minor. Exactly the same notes as natural minor. It's the most complicated of the minor scales. melodic minor, but it's used a lot in melodies, has a great sound. And I'll play the A melodic minor scale from 197. You might notice that every single minor scale has, oops, sorry, I didn't mean to go to that. Every minor scale has 5 notes exactly the same: do, re, mi, fa, sol. And it's only when we get to 6 and 7 that we have some differences. Now in class we had a little confusion about how to do the problems on page 199. You're given an assignment that says write 3 forms of the minor scale starting on this do. And people looked at the first note on page 199 and they saw an E, and it says key signature, and they didn't know how to find the key signature for E minor, because that's how you have to start out writing a minor scale: find the key signature. Well, we've done this in class, so here is the hand helping device. You hold up 3 fingers, your top finger is major and your third finger is minor, and this is the interval. The top finger represents the major key signature. If you go down, like do, ti, la, you land on the relative minor. They both share a key signature. Let's say you are coming from a minor key, however. In that case, you start on the bottom finger, which represents the minor key, and you say, well, this must be do. It's in a minor key. You go up a step, you get to re. You go up a half step, you get to mi, and that would be the major key. So you always work with 3 fingers. So let's look on page 199. You see an E, and you want to go starting on this E finger, which is do. Do is an E. Go up a whole step to re. It's an F sharp, a whole step. Up a whole step to mi, half step is G. So the key signature for E minor is the same as the key signature for G major, 1 sharp. Let's try it on the next one. They gave you a starting note of G, and we want to find out, well, what do we need to use for our key signature? So we start on G is do. We go up a step to re, G, A. We go up a half step to mi, A up a half step is B flat. And that's the major key. 2 flats for B flat, and also 2 flats for G minor. So that's what you have to start out with. When you draw the natural and the harmonic and melodic minor scales, you always start with the same 8 notes, the same 8 notes that are in the natural minor scale. When you go from natural to harmonic, after you've copied the same 8 notes, you count up to number 7 and raise it by a half step. When you go from natural to melodic, you start out with the original 8 notes from natural minor. You count up to number 6 and number 7 and raise them a half step. Sometimes you raise them with a sharp, sometimes you raise them with a natural. Depends on what they were in the very beginning. Your homework assignment is page 199 and 200, due on Monday. Have a great weekend.